Hey, what's up, Closer Nation? I am going to share with you today the number one mistake that I see salespeople making in the modern marketplace. I see this every single day. I experience it in my own inbox. I'm sure that you experience it in your inbox as well. And what it is, the number one mistake I think people make is they're treating offline sales differently than online sales. So in other words, and I'm gonna walk you through a little process. Don't I have beautiful handwriting? It's so awesome. My fourth grade teacher would be so proud of me that I still write like a second grader. Anyway, the thing is, a lot of people treat them differently. I see it all the time in the sales pro group. They say, well, I sell differently online than I sell offline. And early on in my career, one of the people that I chose to align myself with and buy courses from was this dude named John Carlton. And his courses taught me how to become a better writer, and they improved my writing skills. And his whole sales pitch was how to write and protrude yourself online the exact same way when you're offline. Like if you read a blog post of mine, if you've ever been to hardcorecloser.com before, my goal is to make you feel like I just threw my arm around your shoulder and was like, hey man, let me tell you a story, right? It's like, it's trying to be the same person and come across the same way online as I come across offline. Yesterday I met Roger, one of my clients at Me Casino here. He just happened to be in town from wherever, and so I went out of my way to go up and meet up with him. And he's like, man, you're the same person online that you are in reality. It's like, well, yeah, that's like the whole point is I don't want to trick people. That's almost as bad as like the real estate agent that you see and there's like a young picture and it's like all beautiful and everything else in her 20s, and then call her up, you ask to see a house, and it's like, dude, is this your grandma that shows up? Where the fuck is the person from the business card here, right? Like I'm trying to catfish people. And so, but a lot of people make the mistake. They say things online. They treat the sales and prospecting process online completely different than they do anything offline. And I'm going to share with you today how you can correct that and the correlations. Now, here's the thing. You ever get like a DM from somebody that is in like, let's say multi-level marketing. And they're like, hey man, I just got involved with this opportunity. Here's a link to check it out, right? And that's it. Who the fuck says that in reality? When's the last time you met somebody, or even somebody that you know that you haven't talked to in a long time, and you call them up on the phone, and you're like, hey Alex, I got this opportunity, man. Hey, real quick, go jump on your computer and click on this link. Like, dude, nobody does that. That's not offline behavior. That's not, especially with complete strangers. You don't just meet somebody for the very first time at a networking event or at a bar or through a mutual friend or a friend of like at the country club or wherever. Just be like, hey man, I don't know your name yet, but I was wondering if you want to join my multi-level marketing opportunity. And I just use multi-level marketing people because they're obviously the worst at this because they make this mistake all the time. But car people, mortgage people, real estate people, they all make this mistake. I become friends with a real estate agent, and oftentimes they'll send me a message like, hey, if you ever look for somebody to buy, sell, or lease real estate, I'm your person, right? Like, dude, who says that in real life? If we were hanging out together and I just met you and that was the first thing you'd say to me, I'd think that you're fucking special. I'd be like, that dude's a couple of nuts shy of having a fucking, like, what do you call it? A couple screws loose, a couple of inches short of an elevator going to the top. You know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't make sense to me. You wouldn't do that offline. Offline, you would go through this process. You would introduce yourself, first of all, like offline, it might be a handshake. Like you meet somebody in person. Now here's the thing, you want to come across online the same as you come across offline. So you want to think of the correlation between these processes here. Online, the introduction, when you're hitting somebody in the DM, or maybe you're sending them an email for the very first time or a text message for the very first time, right? Those are all online activities. When maybe they're reading your blog post or watching a video of yours like you are now or whatever. Whatever that case is, that introduction is the same as a handshake. It's like, hey, I'm Ryan, nice to meet you. That's like the first thing that you say to people when you meet them in real life. You shake their hand, you're like, hey, it's nice to meet you. So when you're sending somebody a direct message or an email, the first thing that you should do is reciprocate that. Since you can't physically shake hands, the logical thing to do is to thank them and introduce yourself, right? To like make the introduction. Hi, I'm Ryan, I sell cars. Hi, I'm Ryan, I sell mortgages. Hi, I'm Ryan, I sell whatever the fuck. You put it in front of me, I'll fucking sell that shit. That's what the fuck I sell. Anyway, so you want to make that same correlation. It's a handshake. But yet most people, they skip this part right here. They don't make a handshake. And could you imagine you're somewhere and maybe you're a perfect prospect, right? Just put yourself in the prospect shoes. And a salesperson comes up to you, walk into a dealership or a bank or wherever the hell you got to go. And a salesperson just walks up to you and it's like, hey, buy my shit, right? That's just like, that doesn't happen. You have a handshake, a get to knowing each other process, which takes us to the next part. You have to build interest. It's the same thing online as it is off. When you meet somebody, you handshake with them, one of the first things you do is you kind of make small talk with them. You're bonding and trusting with them. You're trying to figure out what they're into so that you can say that you're into it as well, because neurolinguistically programming people to get in sync with you and align their beliefs with your beliefs is a huge part of selling. And so whether you do it automatically or whether you've been trained. And so when you shake somebody's hand, you've introduced yourself to them, the next thing is you've got to get them to build interest. You just can't hit them with the pitch. When they come into the car dealership, when they walk into your bank, you just can't hit them with the interest rate or the model car right here. You've got to go through the whole thing. You've got to show them everything. You've got to build their interest, find out what they're into. And that's that bonding and familiarity. What I do oftentimes, especially online when people reach out to me, I'm like, oh, hey, man, I see that you're from Philadelphia. I have 2 or 3 clients up there in the last year that have all made over $100,000 thanks to some of the stuff that we've implemented into their businesses up there. You'll do great with this process. What part of this, I carry on this way because I'm showing them, hey, somebody in your area has gotten similar results, if not better, than what you were expected to get by coming and reaching out to me too. I'm creating this bonding process with them. I'm not hitting them up saying, oh, dude, you're from Philadelphia, you should totally fucking buy this. No, instead, it's like, oh, hey, I have people just like you in your area that have experienced the results that you're desiring right now. It changes the game. That's what you do in person if you were a good salesperson, so why wouldn't you do it online as well? Which brings us to the next. Once you've got their interest peaked, their desire to move forward has to be moved. That's the negotiations part. At this point, when they say, yeah, so how do I make multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a year like the people in Philadelphia, right? If that was the question that they would send to me, now's the part for me to make a negotiation. You can join the Break Free Academy Entourage program at breakfreeacademy.com/entourage. And the program's only $297 a month, and it gives you access to all of this stuff. That would be the negotiation part, right? At that point, that's when I can make a call to action and start the negotiation. And negotiation doesn't have to be over price. Doesn't have to be over terms. The negotiation could be the fact of whether they are ready to make the leap forward or not. But you have to pique their interest and move them to desire. You want to treat an online conversation, whether it be email, text, or direct message, Snapchat, video, Instagram, whatever, you want to treat that the exact same as offline because that's where we're programmed. If you skip a part of that process, it sends like a signal to the prospect that something's not right. They will not buy from you oftentimes. Many of you are screwing this up, especially if you work in like the online department of your business. You're trying to sell differently through email than you would if you just picked up the phone or you saw them face to face. And that's why you're blowing sales. It's simple. A lot of the sales departments in the internet departments in the sales trainers and the sales managers over the internet departments, they make the mistake too. They try to teach that offline selling is completely different than online selling. It's not. They need to be one and the same. This way, when the customer comes in to finally meet you, they're ready to buy because they feel familiar with you, they trust you, they have the interest, the desire. And then the last thing is your ability to call them to action. Right? So at that point in the conversation, when somebody's online and we've shaken their hand, we said, hey, I'm Ryan with the car dealership. It's very nice to meet you. I'm glad that you're here. What made you decide to reach out? They're going to start telling me, oh, well, I'm interested in this. Awesome. Well, where are you from? Perfect. Well, I've got somebody in your area just like you that's got the same and achieved the same results that you desire as well. Awesome. So we start to decide, hey, how much is it? They ask me in the desire phase, how much is it for the program? That's when we start the negotiation. I've got their interest peaked. They desire to move forward. I call them to action. The program is $297 a month. You can get subscribed and get our newsletter within the next couple of days as we send it out, right? Within the next couple of weeks, as we send it out. Super exciting stuff. And so I wouldn't change the way that I'm doing things online for offline. When the customer comes in and meets me, they already feel familiar and they see that I'm the same person. They see that I'm the same personality that they expected me to be online. When we get on the phone, they see that I talk the same as I write. When all those things align up, that exudes confidence. And when all those things are in alignment, it's hard for somebody not to agree with you because it's so convincing. And now, I don't say this for people to use maliciously or for evil intention. I'm talking about a lot of customers are scared of making good decisions. We as humans, we get so used to making bad decisions that we run like a moron over to a bad decision, but we'll scare and shy away like a scared deer in deer hunting season, because it's that time of year around here. We'll run away like a scared deer from good decisions because we're not used to making good decisions. So we as salespeople, I feel like we owe it to the marketplace to use every single ace that we can possibly use to be able to close people if you provide something that solves a real world problem, which I believe I do, which is why I'm so confident in what I sell. But I can tell you this, If I sold differently online than I sold offline, I would never make any sales. You have to be congruent. And if you look at your process right now and you see, damn, the way that I deal with people in person versus the way that I deal with people not in person is completely different, and you realize that you're lacking in the internet department, you're not making a lot of sales from it, there's your problem. You've got to make the two congruent. Slow the process down. Just because you're in someone's direct message doesn't mean you have to like just think of it this way. Just because you're in someone's direct message doesn't mean you have to fit it all into one paragraph. All into one message. Break the shit down. Ask them a question, let them answer. Ask them a question, let them answer. Think of it as dating, right? If most of you, some of you are fucking morons, it's just part of life, but most of you, if you were going to reach out to a chick on Facebook, dudes, I'm speaking to dudes specifically because I've never been on the other end of the spectrum. But most of us dudes, if we're going to reach out to a chick on Facebook, we're not just going to like go for immediate dick pics and asking her, does she want to hook up at a hotel tonight, right? You're going to start a bonding, a trust. You're going to see if she's interested, to see if she has the desire to move forward. And if you got what it takes, buddy, you're going to close her. But you can't just jump into that. You just couldn't hit the chick with the, hey, do you want to see my penis text? That's not how it works, right? You have to slowly, here we go. Now we go with the innuendos and shit. You have to slowly go and ease your way into it, right? Create the interest, desire, call her to action. That's the same way. Think about it. If you were at a cocktail party, would you stand up on the table and be like, hey, listen, I'm in this multi-level marketing deal, or hey, listen, I sell Fords, or if you're ever in the market, or if you need a house? You wouldn't do that. So don't do that on social media specifically, and don't do that in email and text either. Slow it down. You don't have to send the whole entire script that you have to say out at once. Send a paragraph, let them respond, engage. Because here's the thing, it takes at least 7 points of familiarity for someone, or 7 points of contact to create familiarity. What I mean is, in the old days, you had to follow up 7 times with somebody on the phone. By the 7th time, they know your name, they know who you are. Oh shit, you work here. Same thing, you have to send 7 pieces of direct mail for somebody to read your mail. You have to send 7 emails to somebody for them to start that familiarity process, for them to think of you, for you to be ingrained in there, for them to make that decision. And that's on average. Sometimes it's even more than that. But here's the thing, if you're conversating with somebody back and forth in the DM, the email, the text message, each time they reply, that counts as a point of contact, right? You're building towards those 7 points of contact to where you have familiarity, which gives you the ability to say, hey, you trust me, you got the interest and desire to move forward, it's this price, here, let's do business. So if you're selling things different online than you're selling in real life, stop that shit, stop it, right? Knock it off, get your shit together, get congruent, and go close some sales. Happy New Year, closers.